an issue I've run into in my designs in Q-Sys Designer have to do with audio specific systems mainly, which is setting the milliseconds to the decimal point on a delay for a system, right? I've just had trouble finding a way of doing that on a UCI that is accurate enough to do. It sounds like a simple problem, but it's actually not easy to solve. Um, so I am teaching an introductory course for live production, which are like theatre tech people. They do lighting, vision, and audio and stage stuff, and sound students at a university here. And it's really just to introduce them to these systems and the environments that can be run on them, and get them to do a couple of relatively simple designs as assessment, understanding how a lot of the components go together. It's introductory. I've ramped it up this year a bit, and we've gone increasingly complex in designs in class together, so that people are actually plugging stuff in and watching it come together and work. Um, it seems to be working a little bit better. People's understanding is a lot more advanced this year. Anyway, uh, it's ended up with a multi-week in-class building of a full PA management system that you see in front of you, um, including amplifiers at one end to these speakers, which includes monitors, subs, infills, and delays. All coming in from a core up at one end of the room that you plug your console into, anywhere from 6 to 8 outputs, including your monitor sends. And at the other end of the amps and speakers, and everything else is networked and run inside Q-Sys with full system control. So it's a very good exercise to do with students. Again, I take these guys for live sound as well. So this is a great review of PA anatomy, and actually a little more in depth than we got in the live sound classes on some areas. So that's good. It's also a great exercise in running a nice design in Q-Sys. You can see this is fairly advanced design with lots of indicators on it and meters and stuff that we can look at in the design itself, rather than having to be in the UCI to see anything, which I got from a wonderful technician here in Melbourne on a video of his where he just laid out how to do this really well, and we did it in class. So that's lovely. But I still had this problem of setting a nice delay on the system, getting this to do it, because putting a control on the UCI, they're knobs or faders, and getting that to operate in a way that was fine enough to get to a decimal point that you were going for was just a bit clumsy and hit and miss, even though I put a custom control on it to limit the range between 15 and 60 milliseconds. I didn't need more than that for this hypothetical system. And then applying a percentage knob from another custom control onto that to try and get that to be fine enough detail to be accurate. And it sort of worked, but it was still not. It was a little hit and miss. I didn't like it. It felt amateur. Now, I knew if I could get a keypad and just punch the numbers in and send it to the milliseconds, that would work. I knew that it would accept that in the plugin. But finding a keypad inside Designer has turned out to be more of a challenge than I expected. There's no component with a keypad in it in your schematic or in your inventory. So I tried unhooking a POTS keypad for dialers and putting the pinouts to logic circuits that I was trying to get it to read that as a text string or a value string, but I couldn't get it to do a straight swap. Then I found this HID keyboard in the core, and again pulled the keypad off that and tried to hook up that through the pinouts into logic circuit, and I just couldn't get it to fly. Anyway, I did eventually find a keypad and make my idea work, and I just wanted to show you it working and show you how I did it so that you can use it yourself if that's useful to you. So here's our main page of the interface. I'll just emulate and show you this keypad system working. Right, so here's our UCI. Lots of pages, mainly graphic EQs. These last 7 are graphic EQs, but I've got this main page here, which is the reading the input. That's what the meters are. They're from the core. I've got can adjust the sub level. I've got some presets for the sub levels. I've got a crossover point which I've forced the choices on. Where we can bump the monitors up a little. So this is range limited between 3 dB and -6, so that's pretty good, and I can reset it to 0, so that's lovely. This is how you get to the EQs. These are navigations to the other pages, but I want to show you this input to config page, which is about the second input into the core, where and how that works with the main, the delays and the infills. So, for example, preset 1, mix left and right is going to all of those destinations. Preset 2, it's just input 2 is going to delays, everything else is the mains. This is now it's the delays and the infills are both coming off the second input. And in this one, just the infills coming off the second input. So if you were doing a theatre production, you might just run a group with only the vocal mics in the infill and everything else could be running to. For example, who knows? There's plenty of applications. So here we go. I'm going to show you the set delacing. That's what we're here to do. Look, a keypad. Isn't that gorgeous? We're currently at 0 milliseconds, and we saw that in the design as well. Let's put one in, 44.4 milliseconds. You'll see this is a text buffer. If I hit enter, the system delay goes to 44.4 milliseconds. Let's check on the system. And our system delay has slaved to that value that I just punched in. So this is working. Now if I clear, it goes back to 0, as does the system. So this is fabulous. This is working exactly as I hoped it would. I've also got some presets in here. Let's put in just a different number to have, you got to enter, then it goes to that. So I can show you these. So I can go to 0 milliseconds, which is fine. We want to be able to do that in case people want a spoken word thing or whatever else, or they want to set the delays on their own console. I've got a default. This is just an arbitrary number I've put in. This would be properly lined up between delays and mains, properly time aligned for the room, and I can't change that from in here as the user. I'd have to go into the designer to change that number. That's exactly what I wanted, but I can do a user preset as well. So I've gone to this. I want to show you something here. This text buffer is still active. So if I hit that, no, it's not. Let me clear that. Take it back to 0. I'm going to do 55.5. Enter that. I'm going to save that as a user preset. Now that's in the user preset now. So go back to the default. Beautiful. And the user preset is 55.5. So this is all working exactly as I envisaged. So let me show you where I found this keypad and how I got it to work logically, because it's not as complex and difficult as you would think. And it's actually in Designer-ish. I want to show you where, so you can go and find it yourselves and use it if it's useful for you. It's in a place that I only knew to look in recently, which is this, Show Asset Manager. And if you do that, go to Asset Manager, it's got the things that I've loaded in already as part of it. But this is full of plugins for various third-party bits of hardware and just useful bits and pieces you can add to designs. Lighting controls, camera controls, beamforming microphone controls, amp controls, speaker control, like lots and lots of beautiful, very, very useful stuff from lots of companies that are at the top of the game. But if you go down to CCI, you'll find this custom keyboard. So I looked at this and I went, oh, okay, if this works as a thing where I can store a string and then hit enter and send it in, it will work. And that's exactly what it does, as it told me in the help file that usefully downloaded. And it says here, enter. When pressed, the text contained in the keyboard text in control, so that's acting like a buffer, will propagate to the keyboard text out pin. That's what I knew I wanted it to do, because I've been trying to get it to do that with logic circuits for quite some time. So that's where I found it, and you install it here, which I've already done because I'm signed in, and then it shows up. I'll show you where it shows up in your schematic elements in these plugins user, this little folder here that we've all ignored until now. If you download something from Asset Manager, it turns up in your plugins user, and here it is, custom keyboard, and I've put it on a different page to get it to work. So you pull it out, it looks like this, and when you open it up, you got this whole keyboard here. I grabbed out these numerical keys, the decimal point, the enter and the clear key from that, and arrange them like this. And this is the logic. This is all it is to do it. This custom control here is sending to my range limited custom controlling the delay, which seems convoluted, and I probably don't need to do that. I could just go straight into the milliseconds actually now on a delay. I probably don't need any custom controls unless I wanted to limit the range, which would be unnecessary now because I can put in any amount that I want. So perhaps this is even too much. This could go straight into the delay. However, you do need this. These presets weren't just a luxury, they're kind of necessity to get it to reset to 0. So, because it doesn't do that automatically, I had to put this as a logical thing. I'll undo it so you can see why I had to do that. I'll show you how it works out of the box, so to speak. Just straight into the milliseconds on a delay. So if I put in something, let's put 55.5, and I hit enter. So the system's now 55.5. That's all wonderful. If I hit clear, that clears, but we're still on 55.5. And although I can now put in 99.9, hit enter, and it will go to that, it felt a bit clumsy to me to leave I wanted to go back to 0. And if you link this up, that's set to load 1, which of course is this preset. So that's how I got it to do it. And that is all of the logic that you need to make this work. I hope this is helpful for someone. It's certainly helpful for me. And you could use it for a number of things. Entering meters in distance, you could do it. Who knows what you need it for. I hope this is useful to someone. Thanks for watching and have a good night.